Alright, this is going to be a presentation about the benefits of vaccinations, as well as an attempt to debunk some of the common myths surrounding vaccinations. First, we're going to start with the history of vaccinations. Vaccines were created by Edward Jenner in the early 1800s. Jenner observed that people who had contracted cowpox were immune to smallpox, so he would give people a small dose of cowpox, and it turned out to protect them from smallpox, so that was one of the first vaccines created. The procedure at the time was considered very crude and faced criticisms from both religious groups and just the general population. They said it was unsanitary. Today, vaccines no longer require collecting pus or other biomatter from a sore from an infected individual and placing it into yourself, which sounds disgusting. Today, we just have a syringe and we'll just give you a shot. So they're much safer today. The risk of contracting the disease is much lower than it was in the past. Vaccines are only given to fight diseases that are dangerous or deadly. This is a misconception that some people believe that we have vaccines for everything. Vaccines are really only for dangerous diseases. We don't give them out for things that aren't deadly or harmful to your health. The immune system has to fight the infection. Once it fights off the infection, the body has a supply of cells to help recognize and fight that disease in the future. The thought is that you'll introduce a weaker form of the disease. Your body's B cells and T cells will fight it, remember, and categorize the foreign invader. So when you do come into contact with that disease, it's ready to fight it and it'll protect you. It's kind of like supercharging your system. The supply of cells are antibodies. These antibodies make it harder to develop the disease and sickness again. Vaccines imitate diseases and cause the immune system to have the same response to the disease so that the antibodies can be developed and prevent sickness. Vaccines are a safe way to introduce a disease to a person. It's basically a false alarm. They're not going to give you the full dose. Currently, more people who refuse vaccinations, it increases the risk of people getting sick. And it's hard to convince some parents that they need to vaccinate their kids, and this is a really big deal. And every day the government's exploring options on how they could increase the vaccinations rate. Could the Center of Disease Control have some authority to inflict mandatory vaccinations? Kind of stuff like that. Should people in retirement homes be forced to get vaccinated? This is an issue for herd immunity. Everyone in a society is vaccinated, and it helps protect other people. So, and you see in the pictures in the bottom right, in the first one, only 3 are vaccinated. And after the virus spreads, many of them are infected. And the one on the right, the majority of them are vaccinated, so nobody's going to get sick. There's only one additional sick person. Since they're vaccinated, their immune systems are ready to respond. They're not going to get sick. It makes it harder to become sick. So by everyone being vaccinated, it helps protect other people as well. Children and elderly and anyone with a weak immune system, so babies, pregnant women, people like that, they have a compromised immune system. So it's important that you are vaccinated and that you are healthy when you're around those people in general. Vaccines are only given after they've gone through a rigorous testing by the FDA. Sometimes they cause side effects like nausea, irritation, drowsiness, some pain, but none of these are going to be even close to the pain and discomfort caused by the illness that it's preventing. All these vaccinations that we have today help protect the future generations, and have eliminated some diseases that killed many people in the world, like smallpox, for instance. Smallpox has been eradicated by the use of vaccinations, and polio was once a disease that was greatly feared is no longer in the United States. So some of the benefits are that they are safe and effective. They protect people from serious illnesses, and they're beneficial to the oncoming generations. by us eradicating smallpox, no one today has to fear getting it. We no longer have to get vaccinated for smallpox. It's going to save you money in the long run. If you don't vaccinate and you get sick, then your hospital bills are going to be a lot higher than it would be just to go in and get the shot. It's estimated that vaccines prevent 2 to 3 million deaths per year, and that is a lot of preventable deaths. There are diseases out there that can be easily prevented with just one shot. It saves time and money, like I said before. They're cheaper than the long run. In the long run, they prevent you high hospital bills and doctor visits, as well as saving lives. You won't be hospitalized. Vaccine hesitancy is the term used to describe anyone who is wary of getting vaccinated. And there are 4 major reasons why people choose to do this. One of them is a religious reason. Some people go on to say that they have the religion prevents them from taking a vaccine. There are personal beliefs, philosophical reasons, and safety concerns. Most of these, the safety concerns that we addressed earlier and we'll address further on in the paper, aren't that big of an issue. Philosophical reasons, you can't really change people's philosophy. They're always going to think, if their philosophy says they can't have vaccinations, and it's going to be hard to change them, as well as personal beliefs. As for religious reasons, one of the examples of it is some vaccines might contain animal matter, like pork, so that might be an issue for one religion or another. However, I don't think it explicitly states in any religious text that you can't have a vaccination. So it's just, I think, mainly the animal matter. So some of the myths surrounding vaccines. One of the big issues is there are claims that heavy metals in vaccines are detrimental to brain development and other developmental aspects of a child. There's also the big claim that vaccines cause autism. I'm sure everyone's heard that before. And the third one is that the infant's immune system can't handle the large number of vaccines that are given to them. All of these will be debunked later on. Firstly, for the baby's immune system, babies can withstand up to 10,000 vaccines at once, and there are only 14 vaccines on the schedule, the vaccination schedule provided by the CDC. This utilizes less than 1% of the child's immune system. As for heavy metal exposures such as aluminum and mercury, as you see in the chart on the right, this is for the first 6 months of your life. So if you follow the vaccination schedule by the CDC, you're not even getting 10 milligrams of aluminum. But if you take milk-based formula or soy-based formula, you're going to be getting a lot more than that. So if you're worried about aluminum, vaccines isn't your problem. As for mercury, the mercury in vaccines is mainly in the form of thimerosal, which is a preservative used to keep live attenuated vaccines alive, basically. In live vaccines, there's a live version of the disease in there, but it's weakened. It's not full strength, and the thimerosal helps do that. It used to be in all vaccines. It has since been removed, and after its removal, there were studies in California tracking the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, and they saw no change in the number of autism diagnoses after the removal of thimerosal. As I said earlier, they say thimerosal causes autism, and the study showed no changes. Most autism cases is characterized by usually social having difficulties in social situations, and they can't do that till they're 2 or 3. And the majority of the time, you get a lot of your vaccinations before you're 2 or 3 years old. So it's really hard to say. It's hard to prove a causal link to vaccinations. They might say there's a correlation, but you can't prove causality through a correlation. The more people who refuse to get vaccinated, the higher the risk for everyone else. And every day, the government is exploring options on how to get people aboard for mandatory vaccinations. There's no causal link from autism to vaccinations. They're a lot safer now. You don't have to worry about aluminum. You're getting more aluminum in milk-based formula and soy-based formula. Some of the possibilities of solutions are mandatory vaccinations. That every year the CDC puts out a vaccination schedule, and if we follow that, I feel like it'll help keep everyone a lot safer. And vaccines aren't super expensive either. They're a lot cheaper than going to the hospital. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you make the informed decision to vaccinate your children.